Hello and welcome to Explaining Psychology, where me and Freddie are going to be going over some psychology topics for the AQA specification. So today we are going to be looking at social influence, and a good place to start, what actually is social influence? So this can include conformity, obedience and minority influence. And social change is when a group of people actually change their ideas about a certain issue. For example, technically a type of social change is that people now believe that the earth is round, whereas before they believed that the earth was flat. And we've also got things like climate change. So before, people were quite sceptical about climate change, global warming, whether it was really happening, whereas there's been a big shift now in people's attitudes to global warming and the environment. And even Leonardo DiCaprio himself, when he went to collect his Oscar, highlighted how much of a big issue this was and how important it is. So I'm going to talk you through a process of social change. One of the first things that minority groups in particular need to do is to draw attention to their issue. So, for example, a group that was really good at this were the suffragettes. And some of the ways that they drew attention to their cause of trying to get women equal rights and get them the vote was hunger strikes in prison, chaining themselves to really famous buildings. We've got the infamous example of a suffragette jumping in front of the King's horse at the Derby. And all of these ways really drew attention to their cause and got people talking about the issue. The second process is what is created by drawing attention to an issue, and this is called cognitive conflict. And this is when the majority of people in society think, oh, hang on a minute, what these people are drawing attention to is really conflicting with the ideas that I've got. And humans find cognitive conflict very stressful. They don't like to have two opposing views in their mind at once. It causes a lot of distress. So people tend to choose one or the other rather than have two ideas sort of battling it out in their head. And this can start to cause the process of social change if people decide, actually, these women are making a really good point, they're really committed, and perhaps women should have the vote. And therefore we're starting that process of social change. So the next part of the process is the idea that the more consistent a minority group are, the more likely they are to cause social change. So if we look at the suffragettes, even when they came across so much opposition, they were even put in prison, had loads of people telling them that what they were doing was crazy, it would never work, they consistently stuck to their message. Women votes, women get the vote. And this consistency, according to psychological research, has been shown to be quite convincing. And the fact that these women are not giving up. So therefore, this continues the process of social change. So the next part of the process is something called the augmentation principle. And augmentation means to make bigger. So the way I remember it is if people have a breast augmentation, that means they have their breasts made bigger. I don't know why they have to remember it. So if people are seen to really suffer and be committed to their cause, that makes people more likely to side with them. So for example, if we look at the suffragettes, they were so committed to their cause to get women vote that they were on hunger strike in prison. They were enduring severe mental and physical distress for their cause and what they believed in. And again, this makes people more likely to want to side with them and for this social change to happen on a wide scale. We then have this idea of a snowball effect. So once a minority gets a couple of people on side, those people might tell their friends, their family, and get them on board, and then those people will get their friends and family on board. Before you know it, it's this huge snowball effect, gathering and gathering more and more people until the whole of society starts to support this cause. So, for example, with women's rights, it actually got so big and so much support that the law was changed and women were allowed to vote, and that was huge. And the snowball effect is very similar to how rumours spread in schools. So you might just tell one or two friends a bit of gossip, then they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and before you know it, before the bell's gone for break time, the whole school knows about this gossip. That's very similar to the snowball effect. And the last part of this process is something called socio-crypto amnesia. And this sounds really complicated, but really it's just the idea that this change becomes so embedded and so accepted that people forgot that there was ever a minority group that had to fight for it in the first place. So many women now, when they go out to vote, don't necessarily think, oh, thank goodness for all the suffragettes fighting for me. They just think, yeah, of course I should be able to vote. And it's this idea of forgetting that it was ever a minority position, that not everyone used to agree with it. And once it's hit that level, we can really say that true social change has taken place. And if we look now in the UK, women's votes are seen as absolutely accepted and very widely supported. So, we've been explaining psychology. If you found this useful, please give this video a like. If you've got any requests, then please just write them in the comments below and I'll try and do them as quickly as I can. And if you know any friends that might benefit from these videos, then please share them. We've been explaining psychology, Freddie, and hopefully we'll see you soon.